It's interesting the things that you run into when you start silversmithing. There's really three types of independent silversmiths. There are the hipsters and the natives who, and don't get me wrong, I'm calling them hipsters, but I got nothing against them. These people who, they buy silver plate and then they take a cabochon, usually, that's most of their market, and then they cut out a piece of silver plate, the circumference of the cab, and then they build a kind of a bezel around that. Although I'm not really going to call it a bezel because it's not really set. And then they glue it, right? So it's not really bezel set, it's glue set. There's just kind of a silver decoration around it they call a bezel. And that's what you see me tearing apart right here because I wanted to do something way more fun with this piece of malachite. Then you have the silver stacker bros who got into sand casting, right? It's like, oh man, I'm going to make these like collectible figurines because, I saw Gold Spartan and, that's where the money's at. And it's cool too, right? Most of those guys work with 999 or they're large production silversmiths, right? Or you've got guys that work with Lost Wax. And that's me. So the advantage of Lost Wax is that it allows you to get just a tremendous amount of detail into a piece. Like these Byzantine crosses that I make, or these St. Michael's that have both sides. These things are a pain in the butt to cast through sand casting, so Lost Wax, right? And then that allows you to do some pretty fun things with, like, here's a wedding ring that I had designed for a friend. Okay. And as you design and you build up your inventory, you wind up being able to reuse the same assets for multiple jobs, right? Within reason. So if you've ever had a silversmith turn you away, they're like, "Oh, I got some stones. Do you want to buy some stones?" No, dear God, they don't want to buy any stones from you. And I'm going to supply the stone, and I'm going to have you make a ring or something. Oh, that's amazing. Because number one, they're going to tax you, and if they're not going to tax you, then they're going to cheap out. And I'm going to explain. So this is when we talk about stones, we have to talk about calibration. Calibration matters, right? So what's calibration? Calibration is a standard measurement for a standard cut. So this right here, it's a little square cut, kind of you might call it an emerald cut, whatever. It's not really an emerald cut, but it's a little tourmaline, cute little tourmaline, right? So here is my handy dandy gem caliper. If you ever try to buy a gem from someone online that doesn't own one of these, run. Because cheap stones are cheap for a reason, and this is why. So let's take this stone right here. We'll measure it. 5.46 millimeters by what? 7.34. I will link the calibration chart in the description for this video, but let me assure you right now, this is not a standard calibrated size. So what's that mean? That means that you can't just go online and order a ring setting for this and have it fit. You might be able to get a prong set for a calibrated size that's close, and then kind of butcher it. And by butcher it, I mean, instead of using, say, for example, a pair of prong setters, like these guys, right? Or these guys, or these guys, in order to fit a non-standard calibration, they'll literally just use a pair of needle nose, or just like even worse, a standard pair of pliers, and they'll just, kind of brute force the prongs around, which is fine. It'll hold for a couple months, but it's not going to last, and it's just not good. So your only option, really, is to create a non-standard mount for this. So you're either going to take one of your mounts you have in inventory, and you're going to try to prong set it, which is great for stones like this, right? But what happens when you come into a non-standard cut, like this little coffin thing, right? I mean, it's a cute little piece of tourmaline, don't get me wrong, but it was inexpensive for a reason. It's not a standard cut. So there is no such thing as a pre-built mounting for this. There's no such thing as a pre-built pattern for this. You're now forced to either model a brand new mount for this, and then your options are pretty limited if you want it to be securely mounted, right? You do a prong set. That might be the easiest way. And then you do 1, 2, 3, 4 and tell the client hope for the best, right? You might be able to get away with 5. Here's your problem. If you notice, stone looks pretty good until you look at the meet angles. So here to here, pretty reasonable, right? This angle to this angle does not match this angle to this angle, right? It's a slight difference. That's why they made the tip flat, because it's just not going to meet right. So the difficulty is that this cheap stone customer comes to you. They got a great deal on this beautiful, tourmaline that the seller online said, oh, this thing's easily worth like $90 because it's X number of carats, and the value is price per carat times number of carats, right? No, it's not. It works out that way if it's a good stone and it's a standard calibration. The worth is diminished if it's an out of calibration stone, because then you have to pay a guy like me to create you a custom mount, right? Or you're paying the hipster or the native to build you something, which it's not going to be secure, right? And then they're just gluing your stone in anyways. Nobody wants your stone glued. Mongo, chill, buddy. Or you're paying a guy like me. Well, here's the problem. Cheap stone customers are cheap silversmith customers. They look online and they realize, oh, they could have bought a mount online for $15. So maybe they're willing to spend, $20 for a mounting, right? And a lot of times these guys, they want to pay the gram price for silver, which is even worse. So, meanwhile, your pieces that you're building custom, say for example, like this Cuban link ring, go for $15 to $20 a gram. These guys want to give you like 2, right? And you think, oh, for overhead absorption, I'll take some of these customers on. I did. And, they'll provide some revenue until you realize that for every one of these guys that you deal with, you wind up having to create a model, and it might not come out right on the first time. So you're going to create multiple models in different sizes until you find one that works. So you're tying up your wax printer, right? Then you're tying up your time to de-wax it, test it, right? Then you're tying up your time to sprue it. Then you've got cost and the investment, which then has to set for multiple hours. And then you have to burn it out, right? So that's electric. That's tying up your kiln for multiple hours. And in general, it's just not worth it. That's why these different markets exist. Let the hipsters make their money off of these guys. And there's going to be a lot of these guys are going to be frustrated because with silver prices going up, silver plate's getting crazy expensive. So a lot of these, garage silversmiths are just going away. So that brings an influx of those customers over to us, and they're wanting garage silversmith prices for precision cast. And we just can't make the economics work, especially when, it does much better to sell pieces like this at retail. Yeah, so just a little bit of insight into the life of your average small scale silversmith. I hope this was interesting. Enjoy the link to the calibration charts that I'm going to link in the video description. If you guys have any questions, reach out. Be good.